Hello, my name's Barry. Welcome to Christianity Explained. Does Mike Winger have a point to a good teaching point? Yeah, I would say so. If you don't know, Mike has released a short video discussing something that has happened some years back. Apparently I'll let him share parts of the story and I'm going to comment, but we're going to take a deeper dive than what a short does, because it has ramifications that go beyond Mike. You'll see in just a sec. Okay, Mike, I'll let you introduce the topic. What's this about Greg Laurie again, Mike?
Stuck in a drive-thru, so here's a story time moment for you. Years ago, it must have been at least 10 years ago, 12 years ago, I was at a conference where I was helping put on the conference. I wasn't actually attending it that much, but I had to be there because I was at the soundboard. And there was a...
Yeah. You never know. People were posting things on the internet then, and all kinds of things. Yes, I have to interject a little comment to prevent. And yes?
Pastor on stage who was saying that Greg Laurie was afraid to talk about hell and that he was emergent. That was the old term for...
I actually am kind of aware of Greg Laurie. Somehow, I don't think so, Mike. But did you catch what he said about this emergent church movement? He's right.
Progressive. And that he was basically a bad guy. And they showed a picture of him with someone they didn't like, and they were like, yeah, so he's a bad guy.
Oh, good grief. Okay, if you didn't catch, this pastor at that conference was basically saying, oh, because Pastor Greg Laurie was with this guy there, I don't know, and apparently Mike didn't say. Because that person was a liberal, progressive Christian, or emergent, which is what apparently they were called, ooh, I'm going to vilify. That's what this guy was doing. He was speaking at a conference and saying, don't listen to Greg Laurie, he's a wolf, he's this, ah! And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. I had to listen to a sermon he did. Okay, he was the evangelical. He does mention sin. He does mention hell. It seemed only watered down who he was talking to. No. Greg Laurie is Calvary Chapel, same church organization Mike is with, and he also associated. So yeah, he's gonna know his Bible.
Guy, Greg Laurie. I knew, because it just had happened, that Greg Laurie was either just finishing or in the middle of a series about hell that he was teaching to his Sunday morning church, Sunday mornings, and it was being put on his radio program and all the social media stuff that they did back at the time. I knew that this was a lie about Greg Laurie. I actually tried to talk to the speaker about it, and they did not heed me in any way. No hesitation.
Yeah. Good for you, Mike. I'm glad you stood up for Greg, because you did know the truth, and you spoke up for the guy and said, hey, what you're doing, sir, is a lie. But unfortunately, some people, they hold on to a lie and say, I refuse. The man was demonstrating the fruit of the fruit that was in him, and it was rotten fruit. That does take a lot of boldness for Mike.
To consider that maybe what they said in front of a group of pastors might have been wrong. It was very doom and gloom. And it's just a reminder that even though, like, I'm one who is bringing right now a series of videos exposed.
Yeah. And that's kind of what Mike is doing these days. He is concerned about what's going on. Hold on. Let me bring up. Okay. He is concerned. Yeah, right now he's doing a bunch of videos exposing some bad actors as well as some bad teaching practices. That's part of what he does. But his main job really is teaching the scriptures for a lot of people who don't know. And I commend him. But here's where I need to interject some comment here. And that's this. You notice Mike wasn't operating as a pastor, and he had to confront somebody who was giving false witness. He was bearing false witness against someone he knew wasn't. I've had that happen too on occasion. Some guy was claiming all kinds of, there was a recent debates and arguing, it seemed, by a couple of quote-unquote Christian YouTubers. And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm confused. So I asked the one guy, who I thought can set the records to kind of find out what the heck is going on. That's part of what we have to do, is get to the bottom. We can't just blindly go along with what somebody else said. I had another person who was commenting about Amanda Grace, who I do follow sometime. And I knew enough of her backstory to realize he was saying something that wasn't quite correct. I think he questioned what if she had a real disability. I'm not sure what. And I said, wait a minute. Did you check the first video she ever did? Not only is she sitting in her wheelchair, she tells you, hey, I was healed at a church, and she's still going through she was going through recovery at the time. And apparently, the physical therapist said, okay, it's great you're healed in this sense, but you obviously still need some work to strengthen your leg and get back into walking properly. She suffered and I learned later, this is what research does. And I know I'm a bit of a natural for me, but sometimes you have to do that to investigate the thing, to find out if what the person's thinking or saying is true or not. Now, just to set the record straight, yes, I do find some things that she's doing questionable. But I also am not going to deal with something that sounds a little false here. Oh boy. That's why it's important and I guess he probably needed someone like me who have no problem with investigating things and getting the fact. Because before we run off, especially in a ministry like this, where we're on YouTube saying that we have to be very careful. That's why I had to give thought before I open my mouth. See, what does the scripture say? Is this correct? In fact, scripture even says not to just go on rumors, but to go to the city, go to the source of the thing, and find out if it is true. Investigate the matter. And not to just blindly go along with what one or two persons said, but check the matter out. And all right. And that was said, and that was in the scripture a long time ago. It's still true today. Yeah. Now, in that person's case, I have a different view. I'm open to the idea that God may call someone to function as a prophet, but I'm always wary and leery because YouTube is too much of a paradise for trouble and mischief and all that. So But I get the skepticism, and it can be good, but we still have to check the facts. uh, and yes, and I did do some investigating myself. But see, that's why the different members of the body, that's why we need different people to help us find out what the truth is, because not everyone can do that. Mike, thankfully, knew because he, wait a minute, I've been listening to Greg Laurie on the radio, where he preaching at his church, and so he knew. What if he didn't happen to? He probably would have went to check and say, oh, wait a minute, he has been. We can't just blindly go along with what someone said. And we also should not get upset because somebody else said, wait a minute, hold it, folks, let's wait for the facts, slow down, easy does it, let's not rush to conclusion. And I know this gentleman did kind of question because he had some reason to be. And he is right. And he is right to say, where are the actual witnesses? Let's not go on anonymous here. He is right. So we need those people who help us to formulate right decision that. I could give names, but I don't want those names to be a distraction. I'm even blessed by a friend who happens to be this. He's also a researcher. He does his homework. Oh boy. But yeah, and Mike is right. Before we rush into conclusion, we have to check the facts, see what's going on. That's why research takes time. But we also have to be careful because we don't want to bring up false statements. And sometimes we do need to listen to those 4-hour videos. Yes, that's a snarky remark about Mike, but you know what? Sometimes it's helpful. And to get good teaching to help you better understand how to process things. Oh boy. All right. I wasn't planning a long videos. I was going to segue and do a little bit of show how I might research the topic. Hold on a sec. Alright. I wasn't quite planning on this, but I thought it might help you to learn how to do some basic research on YouTube. It's something you might not know. YouTube has been around a long time, but a lot of new YouTubers, or somewhat seasoned, tend to forget that old videos tend to stay a very long time, and sometimes forgotten. But the internet never forgets. So what are you looking at? This video, let me look. Was done Yeah, this video was actually done 12 years ago. Oh, yeah. So, and at the time, this is probably, well, I'll kind of let Amanda do, but I want you to take note of the title. Did you notice that what it says? Grace in Fashion, episode 1. That was the name of her channel and what we would call podcast. Why? Whoop. Sorry, folks, but that was a phone call I had to deal with. All right, let's get back to the show. I'm going to let Amanda tell you what's actually going on. And yes.
Hello, everyone out there. My name is Amanda, and this is my very first episode of Grace in Fashion. I'm very, very excited about this. I chose Grace in Fashion because I love the Lord very much, and in God's way, He fashioned grace and gave it to us. And in our own way, we could have grace in fashion, and I live for fashion on top.
If you're a little confused, remember I told you to look at the title. It was a clue. This was the fashion channel originally. Prophecy and all that wasn't there. Didn't exist yet. There's something else going on.
Of it. So I figured, why not combine the two and make a really cool webisode right here. This could be a little different because I am in a wheelchair. For the past 10 years, I've been battling a rare neurological disease, and I was up and walking till the end of September 2012 when I went into the hospital for about 5 months. And because of what went on in that 5 months, I ended up in a wheelchair. But thank God I'm out. I've been out for 3 months. I'm learning how to walk again. I have a wonderful physical therapist, Gary, and he has been helping me out a lot, and the Lord's been giving me a lot of strength in this. So hopefully as these webisodes go on, you'll see my progress also, and you'll see me getting up and walking. Also, I wanted to do this because there's a lot of people out there that are going through hardship, they're going through storms, and...
Oh boy. So she, in other words, she was just start off with words of encouragement and things like that. You see, I like looking at these kind of videos. It kind of gives me an idea of where people start from and get some facts. That's something else I knew. When it comes to investigating and checking the facts and not just going along with what others say. A video made this long ago, you're not going to say to yourself, oh, I'm looking to do this. No. And she practically just told you what the situation was. But not quite as detailed as the later videos. You see, that's why it's important. We don't just blindly go along with what you hear someone say. Oh. Yeah. I thought I should share that. And this lasted for a while. And according, I did some other digging, but with her own testimonies and everything, I found out, oh, the sanctuary, that came a little later. Ooh, yeah. This is why we have to be careful not to rush to conclusion, but ask questions of what's going on and not just blindly go along with what? And investigate the facts. Oh boy. And like you said, and then, alright, enough of this. Oh, yeah, yike. I wasn't going to have reviewed the whole video. Because I myself am not into fashion. But I do understand what you're doing. Even I've had challenges of my own. And awareness. That's why it's important. Not just to go on one, but also others. If I was really to do a whole video, I take portions of this and do that. Alright. The only reason I was kind of dragging my feet on this is because I didn't want to get the impression I'm like, oh, I gotta do... No. No, I'm trying to do this to help you learn the value of doing some work yourself, like looking at the oldest video, oldest one, great. Find out what's going on. All right. And it also requires that you say, hey, bias cap, shut up! But put on the discernment cap, which requires that you, okay, I have a healthy skepticism because I'm hearing a whole bunch of stories and I'm not sure of what, and see what's really going on. And that's not an easy skill. Oh. Alright. I think this video has gone on long. Hey, please let me know what you'd like me to do, because I've done a video like this before where I showed you how to investigate for yourself. At the time, it was Corey Minor, and showed you some of the, so you could make your own decision for yourself. Now, just for the record, in case you missed it, these are called public records. This is available to everyone. And I would encourage man to keep this thing. Oh, good grief. It's amazing where we began. All you have to do is look at my old videos and you see what I did. She was actually doing better than I did at the start. Alright, enough's enough. I hope this video was of value to some extent. And thank you for your time. Hope you have a blessed day. See ya when I see ya.